Welcome back to Knowledge. We are going through now the NFL playoffs, most exciting time of the NFL season, in my humble opinion, and I would assume most people would agree. Now, this has been, I would say, a really kind of like season filled with lots of unsurprising things and surprising things both. Where you got your dominance, you got the Chiefs, you got the Eagles. You got the Lions doing what people would expect them to do this year.
Yeah.
But then you also got teams like the Vikings and the Packers. Well, not Packers so much, but Vikings, Chargers, Broncos really surprising people and making a run. So we're going to see what's going to happen with them. So we're going to go through our picks for the NFL wildcard round and just give you our take on what's going to happen. So let's start off with the number 4 seed, Houston Texans, versus the LA Chargers. Los Angeles favored by 3, and so for me, give me LA here. I think Jim Harbaugh knows what he's doing. He's proven he can coach an NFL team. I think the Chargers have been one of the most interesting teams to follow throughout the season, just because of the turnaround they've had really under Harbaugh. I think Justin Herbert, you can count on him to, be a elite quarterback when needed. And the Texans have looked pretty shaky. They've really only, I would say, lucked into the playoff spot just because the rest of their division is just so horrible. And while they're still all right, I would say it's been a little bit of a drop-off for Stroud especially. So I'd say I think this game's going to be pretty unremarkable, to be honest. I think Los Angeles wins in just kind of a game that's not too surprising either way. So what do you think?
Yeah, Green of Slum, the first wild card game I think is always kind of boring. Same with last year in this Browns-Texans the first game.
Yeah.
So I think this one, I think it's decently high scoring, but I don't think Stroud and Texans can score enough. A grain of salt, I don't think Stroud is quite as good. And I think there's some problems in the defense for the Texans. I think Justin Herbert probably 3 touchdowns, maybe score about 38, get the win.
Him and Harbaugh going crazy on the sidelines, but that'll be fun to see.
Honestly, I'm going to stick with the Texans here.
Yeah.
They're an interesting team this year. I think they've had a lot of troubles, obviously, with injuries and everything and, regression. But I don't think this Chargers team's very experienced. Obviously they have a great coach in Harbaugh, but they're still a young team. You look at what they did last time they made the playoffs, that Jags game when they choked that lead. I think Justin Herbert is a pretty dual-sided player. He can either have an insane game or a really bad game sometimes. And it's just a question of how much, like Chuck said, the Texans can do on defense, whether or not the defense holds up against that Chargers offense, who has players like Ladd McConkey nowadays, who's been balling out to make up for Quentin Johnson's 5 drops per game, So I think this is a very interesting game. I'll take the Texans because I think they're still a good team. It's just they've had a rough year, and I think they can beat a team like the Chargers, even though they won't make any kind of run in the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. Well, now let's move on to the number 3 seed Baltimore Ravens versus the 6-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers in our divisional clash. The Ravens here are favored by 9.5. Give me Baltimore here. As much as I would like the Steelers to win, because I really do like Mike Tomlin, the kind of turnaround they've had this year under Russell Wilson. I think they should stick with him. But I think the Ravens are just too good and will overcome the Steelers here, unless the Ravens are playing the Chiefs. I think they tend to look like just about one of the best teams in the NFL. So I think just they're Lamar, and they've been here before too. I think they know what they're doing, and I think they just are too good for the Steelers here. What do you got, James?
Yeah, I can't really argue with that much. Ravens are a good team, and they've been good all year. Lamar, obviously MVP caliber. Steelers kind of fell backwards in a 10-11 wins or whatever, and really aren't as good as their record. And at the end of the day, the Ravens are an experienced playoff team. What was the last time they lost in Wild Card Weekend?
2018 against Chargers.
28. Yeah, so they're a team with a winning culture. I think they're going to be good, obviously. So
Yeah, another kind of basic pick here. Ravens. I'm surprised they were 9.5-point favorites, but winning tonight, Baltimore's tough. And then if you go back to the last match, 34-17 was too close. I think Steelers had big offense struggles recently in the last games. And
They've been on a slide recently.
they've been on a slide. Ravens 4 straight wins. It's a team of.
It's
two
not.
different
It's a team. It's
vectors.
a team. It's just momentum. Yeah, trajectory. Steelers started off so hot. They were 10-3 at one point, right?
Yeah, and Lamar Jackson. I mean, people joke around. You can't pass normally.
Because
He
the
can actually
Steelers-
pass this year.
Steelers kind of had their division locked up to get the top seed, and they just had
Zay
to
Flowers
not lose like all
made
their
the Pro
main
Bowl
games.
somehow.
I know, bro.
Yeah. All right, now let's move on to the Bills versus Broncos, 2 versus 7. In this wild card game, Buffalo favored by 8.5. Notoriously difficult place to play, unless again you're the Chiefs. Now, what do you think here for this one? So your take first.
Yeah, this one I would say. The Bills, it's a pretty basic matchup. I don't know a ton about this. I mean, I think both offenses can go back and forth. I think Broncos can definitely make close. I think they're a decent matchup, but I don't think they have very good skill players. I mean, they have Bo Nix, but they don't make good wide receivers, much good running game, so I don't think they can score enough to keep up Josh Allen. I mean, he is the MVP, so.
Good guy, yeah.
I like this Broncos team this year. Obviously, they're young, and so even making it this far is pretty solid for them. But, you know, it's just unfortunate they ran into the buzzsaw that is the Bills and Buffalo. So I don't see them winning this game. I think they'll keep it interesting. If any team can play up there in the north, the Broncos are definitely one. But it's still a game that's definitely going the Bills' way.
Yeah.
Basic pick, but yeah.
I've liked watching this Denver team a lot this season too. I think they've really surprised people, and I think Bo Nix is the future for them. Sean Payton obviously knows what he's doing, but again, they're not quite there yet. They're not quite to like beating the Bills level yet. Maybe next year, but I think Bo Nix, like I said, does play really well enough to make things interesting.
What was,
I mean, he's like probably about the same age as Josh Allen at this point.
Yeah.
So.
The defense also, Denver's defense with Surtain there is really, really great. But I think, like you said, Josh Allen is just, I think the Bills' firepower.
I was thinking,
will
isn't this
overcome
similar to that one year when the Patriots were actually kind of good with Mac Jones and everyone thought he was the next star?
And the Bills.
Everyone thought he was the next star, and then he goes in to
That was
Buffalo,
bad.
and they just demolish them.
I would say Denver's offensive looks significantly better than that Patriots, because the Patriots' offense has just been so bad that it was like, well, they showed some life. They have won a lot of just ugly defensive games this season. I think Denver's a legit good team, but just they're not the Bills level. So give me Buffalo here. Now let's move on to the NFC. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers, 2 versus 7. This is probably, I would say this and another matchup we'll get to later are the two most interesting games of the wild card round. I'm definitely
excited for this one.
Definitely excited to tune in here with. Now has it been confirmed? Are the Eagles without Jalen Hurts? Or do we think he's
I'm
playing?
not sure about it. I think they'll give him a go, but I don't think
pretty
it'll be
sure
100%.
I would imagine you do anything you can to get him to
Yeah,
play.
I need him back.
Now, but will he be 100% though? You know.
Yeah.
So I like Green Bay here actually. I know their record against good teams, which is basically the NFC North, has been not so great this year. I know that's true, but I like a good shocker upset here. I really think I think the Packers are again just very good, and I think they've shown that they can. Unlike a team like Denver, I think they've shown that they can still like. I think they showed that they can compete with the top teams. So yeah, give me Packers here. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely a great 7 seed, one of the best 7 seeds. So if you guys remember last year in the wild card picks, I picked the Packers,
You did.
and these guys laughed at me, and I really thought about it. But the difference this one is, that was at Jerry World, not a crazy place. This is at the Link. I think it's tough to win there.
Also, one was the Cowboys. They were basically guaranteed
Also,
to
let's go.
screw up in
So
the
I think
playoffs.
that's the difference. I'm taking the Eagles here.
I don't know if the link's loud. You
The
just
Eag-
might get harassed.
the link
Yeah,
is
you
loud.
just might get- you just
Thrown
might
at
get
you.
The
mugged
Link
on the
is
way
loud,
out.
bro.
Yeah, I mean, this is the toughest game to
Their
pick. for
team
me.
culture is.
This is the toughest game to
fan
pick
culture is
because,
we're gonna
like,
attack you.
The Eagles, I honestly don't think they're, insane or some unbeatable team, but it's just like, I was going to bring up the same thing you said. This Green Bay team, I'm pretty sure has lost just about every game to a team they played with a
It's
winning,
true.
with
So
a winning record.
I'm going out of
Yeah.
risk here. I'm going
I
out
mean,
of risk.
they have
but
the
I
same-
got-
I like
surprising
the- I
some
like the-
people.
they
I gotta make a hot
They have the
upset
same
pick,
conference
I
record
gotta-
as the Bears. They were
I gotta
1-5
make a hot
and-
take. Yeah,
and-
but the two other teams they lost to both
No, I
had
know.
14 wins. Each.
I'm just saying, this team has kind of lost a lot of their big games. I personally, honestly, I'm going to side with the Packers here too, actually. It's just,
Bro, ain't no way.
just a hunch, I don't know if I have that much to support it, but that's what I'm going to go with here.
All right. Now let's keep going. We got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, NFC South champions. Got to be the first time in a while an NFC South is not the 4 seed. And then
They finally made it up.
yeah, they finally made it all the way up, going against the Washington Communists. No, the Commanders. Now, Bucks are favored by 3. I got the Bucks here easily. I think. I really like this Tampa Bay team. I think Baker Mayfield is great, like legitimately great. Not even like that's like, oh, that's so good, you're doing well, like a Sam Darnold thing. No, like a legitimately.
Sam Darnold's kind of tough this year.
He is.
Yeah, no disrespect.
I won't.
He
But
wasn't too tough in the Lions game, but
yeah. That's more of a like, oh, I didn't know you had this in you. Versus, I think Baker's honestly been just great his whole NFL career, to be honest, except for the Panthers. But that's just the Panthers. So I also think that this Bucs team is actually better than their record is. If you remember, they were really good, and they beat one of the few teams to beat the Lions. Before they just hit a bad stretch where they lost a few games, and a few of them were just really close, just kind of fluke games that they really should have been able to win. So again, I think they're better than the record is. I think they prove that they could make I could see them being the surprise, like maybe deeper run team, you know. Maybe NFC Championship appearance. I'm pretty high on them.
yeah. Well, going against that, I would be taking the Commanders. I mean, I got you like Baker. I get you want to go with him, but I don't think he's too crazy. I mean, he's a good game manager, but I think Jane Daniels. I think him, Taylor McLaurin.
Jane Daniels hasn't been here before though.
But it's not that tough a place to play. I don't think it's anything special. I think they score too much. I don't think Bucks can keep up. I think they score probably 35, and I think that's the difference. I don't trust Baker to score too much. I don't think the Bucks have a ton around him also.
Mike Evans, man.
And then Mike, he gets his 1,000 yard year,
Little
barely
stat
1,000.
pad, and
I
when
don't
he's
think
Saints
they
decide to
have
not
a
cover
running
it.
game also. So
I think they'll find a way.
You know, I was honestly surprised to see the Bucks are favored in this game. The Commanders are obviously an interesting team where they've got some good wins and are a huge improvement, that offense and everything. So I'm going to take them here. I like Jaden Daniels. You know, I think it could be a big, high-scoring game. Looking at this Tampa team, you know, it's a team that has struggled in the NFC South. You know, to get here in the playoffs, it's like, you know, I don't think you're going to get that many wins in the playoffs. Like, I mean, they were losing to the Saints. They were losing to the Saints for half the game.
They surprised people last year in the playoffs, though.
They were a better team last year, though, you know? So I just think based off how they've looked this year, they obviously are kind of two-sided. You know, they've lost to some bad teams. They've had some good wins, like the Lions, like you said. But based off what I've seen out of recent Tampa, I think we're going to see the worst side of them here. And so I don't see them winning this.
All right, well, let's just keep going to the last game. I would say, for me,
it's only gonna be good.
this is actually the most interesting match for the playoffs so far. We got the LA Rams versus the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings with an amazing 14-win season, sitting at that 5th seed, playing every game on the road. Vikings favored by 1 here. And I think this one's actually a complete toss-up, to be honest. Despite the Vikings just having a great season, I just don't have confidence in them. Kind of like that season, was it 2 years ago or so? Where they won?
2022 lost to Giants first round.
Yeah, I think they're a much better team than that. I think Sam Darnold is good. But I think the Rams are actually, I think people are kind of disrespecting the Rams too. I think the Rams are great. Stafford knows what he's doing, and if they just, their problem earlier in the season was just health. That was why they went into such a bad stretch. Otherwise, they would have won the NFC West easily. So while I could completely see the Rams winning this, I gotta go with the Vikings. They've managed to get it done in 14 games this season, and I have to respect that, you know. So yeah, give me the Vikings here with Darnold. What do you got, James?
Well, I'm going to disrespect the Rams because I basically had to take, you know, like Chuck said, where, you know, this Vikings team, I don't really think they're that insane. And I could see them totally pulling like they did against the Giants and losing first round if they played any of the team in the Rams. I don't think it's Rams.
Any other team in the Rams is disrespectful.
I mean,
crazy.
Worst team in the playoffs I hear.
Yeah, but I'm not going off much here. Only Rams game I watched fully this year is probably the Saints-Rams game. And just based off that alone, I just like, man, I don't think this Rams team has got much left in it. I mean, that NFC West was kind of a mess this year, but still, a team like the Vikings at the end of the day, they got, 12 wins, you know?
14.
And Darnold,
14.
something.
Bro's really trying to diss on them.
14.
You're like trying to sneak the Vikings.
14
Well, you know that Viking team. They had a great season.
I despise the Vikings.
Yeah, 9 wins.
I despise them, and yet, like, they beat a lot of good
Subconsciously, and
teams.
they must have won less games.
They won a lot of good games here.
They've
I genuinely don't understand how Darnold's good because he had never.
Sammy D MVP.
Because Baker, I thought Baker was good in Cleveland. You know,
Oh, he
Darnold
was.
just
Not even a
never
fan. I
looked
think
good
he
in his
was.
career, and so this is where we find out if he's actually changed or not.
Yeah. And I would say if the Vikings absolutely just lay a egg here in our first round exit, the Vikings might reconsider
I'd be
their
so
quarterback
happy.
options.
Because I'm thinking right
they have
now.
JJ
I'm thinking they're going to trade JJ Way now.
I'm thinking that they want.
But if they lose first round, they're going to.
If
They
lose
want
first
to
round,
look for a
they're
reason to keep Darnold. They want to do. They want to be able to do that. They
You're
just-
not going to win 14 games very often.
no, I think anything short of just an absolute just first round exit, disgraceful performance is
Yeah.
gonna keep Sam Darnold there.
Well, okay, going against from these two, I was taking the Rams. So I was very confident about. I like the Vikings. Heading in before last week, Sam Darnold did not look good. The team overall
did not.
look good.
He did not look good.
I lost all faith, and I'm taking Matthew Stafford.
That's a good Detroit team.
I
Good
know,
Detroit team, but Darnold's making some bad
but they
throws,
humbled
so.
them. Darnold not look good. I trust.
Well,
them.
It was
most
a
of
close
that
game. They
was
made
close.
it down to the
kinda
red zone.
pulled
They
away
just
at
couldn't
the
score
end,
in the red
yeah.
zone.
All right. Hear me out. Stafford, I trust him a lot more. He's won Super Bowl before. This is Darnold's first playoff game.
You hear that?
He's not.
It's
been-
the sound of the waves washing over with Stafford's washed.
Bro.
What?
Not.
No,
All right,
Stafford's
bro.
been pretty good.
All right. Darnold's
Yeah,
never
yeah.
been your post game. All right.
Yeah.
Rest of my story. So I saw Kyron Williams, one of the most underrated backs in
That's
the league.
true. Yeah,
I
that
think
is
he
true, actually.
runs over the Vikings
Kyron Williams,
just like Jameer Gibbs
If
did
anything,
last
I can
week.
see
Yeah.
Kyron
He
Williams
runs
having
over
a
them.
great game here.
And then, I know the Vikings have the
Totally
home field advantage because it's at LA, so they'll probably have more fans. But I think Rams get a huge road victory, and they move on to play the Lions next week.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think this one's gonna be great, and I could really see. This one's the most where I was just the closest to really picking Rams here, but gotta go with what I have, So that'll do it for this round of the wild card, and we'll just see what happens from here, and probably just assume the Chiefs will win it all again in boring fashion. But until the Chiefs dominate, we can enjoy the actual
non-Chiefs games.
watchable non-Chiefs games. So that'll do it for this episode. See you next time.